You're a musician and at some point you've thought about working on cruise ships. Maybe you have no idea where to even begin. Who do you contact? What do you send? What do they actually want from you? Or maybe you've been trying for a few months, sent some applications and heard absolutely nothing back, and you're starting to wonder if you've done something wrong or if it's just not for you. Either way, this video is for you. I spent 4 years on cruise ships, 8 contracts, and worked directly alongside booking agencies. And today I'm giving you the exact checklist I really wish I had. What to prepare, who to contact, how to follow up, and what most musicians completely get wrong. By the end, you'll have a clear plan you can literally start using today. So first, let me reframe what an audition actually means for solo, duos or trios and bands, because this is not going to be a traditional audition for you guys. For the show band and the orchestra is different. There are sight reading requirements, and so for these jobs, there are actual auditions, and I'm not covering that today because I know that most of you are applying for solo positions or duos or bands. And so for you guys, your audition is your material. It's what you're going to send to the agents, and from that they're going to decide whether they will send your stuff to the cruise lines, and then the cruise lines will decide if they want to hire you. From my own story, there's just one exception to this. My show reel was showing mainly ballads and slow songs, and so the agent needed to check that I can actually play upbeat songs, and so he just offered an audition where I had to play a happy song for him, and then he said straight away, hey, that's okay, like that's good enough. But other than that, you're never really going to get auditions with agents and play live for someone assessing you, which I think is quite a good thing, because you just need to make sure that your show reel is good, you send it, and you don't have to deal with the nerves or the stage fright that comes up with auditioning. So your job is literally to get the right material, to focus on this, and this is so important because most musicians get this wrong, and then to send it to the right people. So right material, right people, that's pretty much all you need to focus on to make sure that you put all the chances on your side to get hired as quickly as possible. So now let me just do a quick recap on the material checklist. So what are the things that you actually need to prepare so that you can send these to the agents and to the right cruise lines? So the first thing is your show reel. Really make sure that you have contrasted songs on there, that is not all the same style. It needs to show your abilities as a singer, as an instrumentist, or as an entertainer. It needs to be songs that are mainly upbeat, and of course that are very popular and international. The second thing is your repertoire list. This one is super important, and it needs to be at least 150 songs. You really want to include as many songs as you can in there. Even if you don't know all of them, that's okay. The third thing is a CV, like a quick summary about your music experience. Don't put anything that's not relevant to cruise ships, traveling, or music. You just want to put where you've been playing, what you've been playing, and if you have any cruise ship experience. You want to include your nationality and also your passport. Your availability by making sure that you're being broad, not super specific, like, hey, I'm available these 2 months next year. And make sure that you have everything in one place so that it's ready to send immediately. That's the first step, and that's really, really important in the process of auditioning and getting hired for cruise ships. If you haven't got this first step ready yet, I would really encourage you to focus on this and nothing else, because there's no point applying if you don't have your material ready. And if right now you're thinking, hey, I don't even know if what I have here is at the right level to send to agents, then feel free to book a call with me down below, and I'll tell you in all honesty where you're at and what to work on so that you can get this first step, your material, right, and have full confidence when you start applying. Now let's talk about the second step, which is the application strategy. So for this step, I would really encourage you to put your business hat on. I know as musicians we're not a big fan of this word, but we will really need to be strategic about this step. We can't just apply to 2 agencies and wonder why we didn't get a reply after a couple of weeks. What I would really recommend that you do is to build a spreadsheet with the name of the agency, the date that you contacted them, and when you're planning on following up. I really recommend that you follow up every 2 or 3 months until you get hired. And this is actually the most important thing that I wish I knew at the start, because agents are constantly hiring and cruise lines keep sailing all year long, and so there's always constant demand. And through the application process, I would really recommend that you go with the mindset that silence does not mean rejection. And I know this is really hard, because when you put a lot of work in something, I felt the same way for my YouTube videos, for example, then you expect a lot of results when you put a lot of work in. But just like in entrepreneurship, applying to agents for cruise ship work can be very unpredictable, and it's not because you don't hear back that you're not good enough or that you should give up. Now the next thing I'd like to mention is finding the right balance between being paid impatient, and on the other end of the spectrum, ignoring a real problem. Because in certain cases, 6 months of silence can actually be normal. Like sometimes there are periods where cruise ships don't really hire. There was a musician that I coached last year, and it took her 4 months to get her first contract. She didn't hear back, and I knew that her material was right because I had coached her through the process, and after 4 months she got a couple of offers. And so sometimes it's not about you, it's not about your material. You are good enough, but it's just about timing. Like sometimes there are too many musicians for the amount of jobs that there are, and a couple of months later is the opposite. But on the other hand, I keep seeing musicians who tell me that they've been applying for months, and then when I look at their show reel, it's like it's pretty obvious that they haven't put the right stuff in there and that their material are not to the standards that they're supposed to be. And so in this case, it's wondering and asking yourself, is the material that I have to the standard of what it's supposed to be in order for me to get hired? Because if it is not, then it's normal that you're not hearing back from agents. So really ask yourself, like, how does my show reel come across? Does it come across as kind of professional? Do I look like I have performance experience? Do I get people involved? What kind of cruise lines am I targeting? And what do you think a cruise ship agent would think when they watch your show reel? Again, these are questions that are really hard to answer if you don't have experience and if you have no idea, so I can definitely help you with this. The sooner you identify all these little things that you can tweak and make better in order to get hired, the sooner you're actually going to get an offer. And I know what a lot of you are actually facing right now, because I often get messages saying, hey, I'm in my 40s or sometimes up to my 70s, and I really want to work on cruise ships, but I'm afraid of even preparing for an audition or preparing for cruise ship work because I'm afraid my age will be a problem. And I really want to be honest answering this, because I don't just want to give you reassurance and lie to you. I just really want to be honest and tell you what I think is the truth. Age alone is never the reason and the only reason why someone doesn't get hired. What agents actually look at is your energy, is how you play, how you come across, how you show up, your versatility, and what you look like on the show reel. Because I've seen musicians get contracts in their 50s, and I've also seen musicians in their 30s never getting a contract for reasons that had nothing to deal with their age. But here's the thing, every situation is different, and I can't tell you right now where you're at if I don't have a proper look at your specific situation and your material. And this is from someone who has been in the industry as a musician and who has been working closely with booking agents, and so who knows what the standards are. You can trust me that I will tell you honestly, not just to make you feel good, but whether your material and your specific profile has a chance of getting a contract. So you're free to book a call with me down below for this. Link is in the description. I really wish I had this opportunity back then, because this one call could literally save you months. Now let me tell you about what most musicians get wrong when they audition, when they prepare for sending their stuff to the agents. The first mistake that I made myself and that I usually see in musicians I talk to is applying too narrowly. So you're just going to apply to 1 or 2 agencies and then think that if they don't get back to you, then there's a problem with you and you're never going to get hired. It's really important that you reach out to as many agencies as possible. The materials that you send also really need to be commercial and not so artistic. It needs to be mainstream. It's just like playing covers on land. What I see a lot of musicians do as well is giving their availability, but saying, hey, I'm available from the 10th to the 25th of June, and then from the 13th to the 26th of August. This is just not possible. If you're doing this, then you're compromising your chances of getting hired, because agents will try to fill their spot. They're not trying to work for you and to give you work on your specific availabilities. They're going to give work to the musicians who are available all year long. And I know that can be really tough, especially if you have commitments on land, but it's just about priorities. It's like, if you get a contract next month, are you willing to sort things out and to make yourself available for that? Or are you willing to let that for another musician? What I also see is sometimes musicians take a bit of time to reply. You have to be really quick. What happens when agents have an opportunity, an offer, is usually they send the contracts offer to the musicians that they have in their roster. And so the musician who responds the fastest is the one who's going to get the job. And the last thing is, I see so many musicians just treating it as a one-time, thinking, hey, I've applied to this agency last year, I didn't get an answer, and so I'm just never going to be able to work with them. That's not true. A few months ago, I was talking to an agent who said to me that his agency is getting on average 20 to 30 musicians application per day. So with that volume, you really want to make sure that you're getting back up to the top of the pile at least once every couple of months. If you just watched the whole video and you're thinking, I think I could actually do this, but I don't want to spend months working so hard to prepare all the material only to find out that it was just a waste of time because I will never be able to get hired for a specific region, this is exactly what I can help you with. In 1 hour, I look at your specific situation, tell you if I think your profile is ready, give you the full agent list and the outreach templates I've used myself. And if I think you're at the right level, I can personally refer you to the agencies that I know, and this alone could save you months. The link is down below. So to recap, what we have done in this video is we have reframed what an audition actually means for solo, duos, trios, or bands. We talked about getting your material ready to send and all in one place. We talked about applying strategically to all agencies out there, the ones that are legitimate. We also talked about the follow-up strategy that you can use every 2 to 3 months without fail, and also about finding the right balance between staying patient but being honest with yourself about whether something needs work. That is pretty much the whole process. None of this requires you to be the most technically brilliant musician in the room. It just requires organization, consistency, and the courage to put yourself out there. You are probably more ready than you think. Good luck, and if this helped, feel free to subscribe. I post videos like this every Thursday. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Woohoo!